Welcome, everybody. This is the Success Elevated Podcast. My name's Hayden Lee. I'm going to be your host today, and I'm here with one of my really, really good friends. I can call you a good friend, right?
Yeah, we're buds. We played spike ball together.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
With my really good friend from my hometown here in Blackfoot, Idaho, Kinyon Martin. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here, for sure. It's you guys are super reputable here, and to be thought about as someone that might have something interesting to say, you know, is a big boost for me.
Cool.
So.
Well, I kind of wanted to start by talking about that first. You know, podcasts, there's a million of them right now. And I think what makes, you know, our perspective here and my perspective unique is I work for a digital marketing company, and I get a front row seat to like all sorts of different businesses and entrepreneurs and business owners and all sorts of different things. And so I think that gives me like a cool perspective to see people try and grow their businesses and what marketing can do for them. Before we kind of dive into like your background and you know, you starting your own business, what, from your perspective, what has it been like to work with a marketing company, to work with us here at Spot On Solutions, Get Found First? What has that been like for you? What, from your perspective, because you were like an early on client, and I mean, you saw us kind of grow before you were even a client. So what was that like for you from your perspective?
So actually, you guys wouldn't take me on initially.
Okay.
So I have to give Michael crap all the time, because I started one business and then came to him like, hey, I want to do this. And he's like, I can't. It was at the time they were working with another client that was in the industry that I started. And so I shopped around, and I actually went with two other companies before coming on with Spot On Solutions. And had I not done that, I guess it would be hard for me to gauge just the value, the amount of value that you guys add to our company.
Right.
So those other two companies, I feel like there was relevancy. They were doing, you know, or making an effort to do what they sold us on doing for Google, SEO, and building a website. Yet things were still pretty cheaply made. I felt like it was more of a mass production type thing. They weren't from my hometown, but at the same time, not even being from my hometown, I didn't have an account manager to talk with, to discuss ideas with, and even to hold accountable. Right. You know, it was just like shoot an email to customer support, and then they'd get back and say, hey, your ticket's been created, and we'll look at that. So when I came on with Spot On, it was super hands-on, and not just because I live here and I can walk into your office and see everyone working, but just they had ideas on what's working, and they have a large network of people in the same service industry that I'm in, and say, hey, this has been working for M&A restoration, or this has been working for Premier restoration, and I think we can do something similar here in our market. And even on the other side of that spectrum, they'd say, hey, this works down here in Tampa, but it's not going to work in Blackfoot, Idaho.
Right, yeah.
You know, and so it wasn't just like throwing a bunch of paint at a wall to see what stuck. It was more defined ads and target marketing than what I saw with other companies.
That's sweet, man. You know, and that's something I wanted to talk about too, as we get more into like kind of mindset of starting your own business. But my background is not marketing. My background is in mechanical engineering. That's what my degree's in. And I just felt like there was parts of that industry that didn't fit well with my personality. I felt like I had skills outside of the math and the engineering. So that's what kind of led me to marketing. And what really attracted me about like Spot On Solutions and Get Found First is it seemed like they had the skills and they had the infrastructure to really help large companies, but it still felt like that hometown feel. Like you can call in and you get a real person. Like you can send an email and it's coming to me, and like you can talk to me. And so whether you're here, and it's great that you can come into the office, or you know, you're halfway across the country like some of my other clients. Like we wanted to offer that type of service, and that's what attracted me to this company. Was I feel like that's one of their big goals, is they want to offer that type of customer service to people, which, you know, is attractive to me because I love helping people. And I think that's a cool thing about marketing is we get to help people grow their businesses and make changes that'll, ultimately help their businesses grow.
Yeah, I think that speaks to like one of the golden rules is people love to be able to add value, and we all have different ways to add value. Sometimes it's in solving an equation or putting together stress points with metals like engineering guys do. That's plays to their strength, but other people have other strengths about connecting people with other people or connecting people with an audience, and so I think when someone's able to add value in a way that plays to their strengths, it really sings to, what they're trying to progress and become as a person.
Totally. I don't want to make too much of a jump, but I think we've kind of been talking a little bit about it. You own and operate a company called Restore Rite. It's a restoration company, and that's not something that like your dad did growing up. It's very outside of the realm of maybe what you were used to before. And it's always been interesting to me, entrepreneurs, how they make the leap, because generally most entrepreneurs, in most cases, don't start as an entrepreneur. They've worked a job for X amount of years, or they've done something and they've decided that that's not what they want to do anymore. And they make this leap. Seemingly to me, who hasn't started a business, it's a rather large leap from doing what you're used to now you've got people that their lives depend. I mean, their lives, but their paycheck depends on you in a lot of instances. And so talked a little bit about starting Restore Rite, what that looked like for you and what that mindset was to kind of make that leap. I know that's a big question, but
it definitely is an odd thing for a potato farmer from Idaho just to start a restoration or a construction company, right?
Yep.
I mean, I lived in Brazil for a short time, and I'd have people ask me, how do you guys build houses in Idaho? And I'm like, I don't know. I honestly did not understand the framing or anything of that, right? But while in college, I actually pursued a degree in biological engineering. I really like science. I like math too. I liked chemistry, and so I played to those classes, and life happens. I met my wife. Wasn't able to complete my degree. We had twins coming 10 months to the day we got married coming in, so I had to find a job. And the classes I took, though, for this degree, I got about 98 credits in, and so I got fairly deep into Calc 2, biochem, organic chem.
That's brutal.
And anyways, there was an opportunity to work for the government at one of the local nuclear facilities, and in order to qualify for an interview, you had to take this test. And this test catered to submarine operators. So people in the country that went to work on a submarine, they had to learn a bunch of physics, chemistry, flows, meters, and valves. Well, the courses I took, the science courses, helped me with the chemistry and the physics and the flows and stuff. And then the farming actually helped me in identifying different types of valves. Farmers deal with a lot of water. They're basically a certified plumber. With your irrigation. So I knew a gate valve, a ball valve, throttle valve, and so I passed the test, qualified for an interview, and where I was local, and I got hired as a nuclear operator. I was basically a Homer Simpson for this plant.
Okay.
Gotcha. It was really good work. It paid really well. It was about $36 an hour, and then you had built-in overtime.
Right.
And so with benefits, it came into over $100,000 a year, and I was 25 at the time, 24, 25, and I thought,
that's sweet.
I made it.
Yeah.
Retired.
Yeah.
$100,000 a year. I work 4 days on, 4 days off. And I get a month of paid leave. So basically I work 5 months a year, make $100,000. I thought I was done.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But while I was out there, the work just didn't, and I say the term that's used a lot now, it didn't fill my cup. I found myself wanting to add a different type of value to other people. while out there working with coworkers, they'd have a problem. I'd be like, hey, I know someone that does that. And I liked connecting people to find a solution for things that they were dealing with. And so I have always been intrigued by the restoration industry because it does involve some science in drying out a building properly. And one of the first steps that I read in doing that was a lot of people that get into restoration usually start cleaning carpets first.
Right.
So, I mean, there's not a lot of things really attractive with cleaning carpets. But while out there at the site, the nuclear site, I started studying on the side cleaning carpets, and I discovered there's a lot of science involved.
Right.
And this is probably going to make people fall asleep, but anyways,
you're good, man.
There's a lot of science involved with cleaning carpet and learning different acidities of this carpet and bring it back to a neutral pH so it doesn't attract soils. And anyways, it kind of just grabbed my attention.
Right.
I was just obsessed with learning how to clean carpet and started a carpet cleaning company while out there. And I would work 4 days at the site, and then my 4 days off, I would schedule and clean carpets on the side. And that actually went really well. We, there wasn't a carpet cleaning company in town, and people honestly didn't clean carpets here. They didn't think it was a thing, right?
Yeah, didn't think it was a thing.
We started educating people on Facebook, and this is just right when Facebook Live started happening, and people were intrigued with Facebook Live and seeing a young guy out cleaning carpets, like
totally.
And it went well, and but was still always intrigued with restoration. And there was another company in town that was closing their doors, and I felt, well, here's an opportunity to jump into it
and take carpet cleaning in like another step further
and just add another thing. And so we started doing. I got certified in learning how to dry out a home. We bought some equipment, started doing that on the side in August of 2016. And by December, it was like, hey, you got to choose Restore Rite or Homer Simpson. And just made a commitment. It just felt right. Yeah. And there's a cool talk from, Stephen Harvey.
Okay, yeah.
And he talks about jumping.
Dude, that guy give me a jump off a bridge or something, dude. That guy's intense. But yeah, I love how he speaks.
Yeah. So he talks about jumping, and we had twins, and my wife was pregnant with a third kid, and we just thought it is now or never, and we went for it. And that was in December of 2016, and we're 5.5 years later and have 24 employees, and just been getting a lot of feedback from relevant people to learn how to handle the growth and scale a company.
I mean, it's been exponential. To talk more math terms, like, I mean, it's been crazy watching you guys grow. I actually, between semesters while I was in school, cleaned carpets for you for summer, and that was summer of 17. So that would have been right after you guys just started Restore Rite, and just to see growth from then until now is just, it's incredible, man. And what you've been able to do. And
I wish I could go back in 2017 and redo a lot of those jobs.
Right.
I mean, the integrity was there. I think that's what's important, is that as long as you honestly want to take care of someone and deliver a good product, then that's great. However, looking at it now, I'm like, man, I could have done so much better for these people, or
But that's part of. I would assume, again, but I would assume, like, that's part of owning a business. Like, you're going to learn how to do. I would hope that I'm a better person today than I was yesterday, and I would hope that you're a better business owner today than you were, 5 years ago. So, So, you talk about your wife, Nat. She sounded like she was on board with this jump. Was there ever any fears from family members, or, like, I guess I'm curious to see, like, that leap from August of 2016 to December. By December, you decided to go full bore into this thing. Was there a switch that flipped, other than listening to that to Steve Harvey talk or whatever? Was there something that kind of changed it for you? Was there ever any large fears that you kind of overcame in those first few months, I guess?
So I think something that really helped Natalie commit with me was I was working 4 days at the site,
Yeah.
and then at home I was working with carpets. And so, and she had kids and was pregnant, and she wasn't real thrilled with the love language I was giving her. There was no time spent there. It was
Yeah.
all about trying to better ourselves, and she understood that and supported it. And so when it came time to choose, she was probably the biggest cheerleader
Awesome.
that we had. There's members of her family that were very hesitant,
Yeah.
and they were for at least 4 years.
Right, yeah.
Even after it went, they're like, I can't believe you're leaving. We call it the retirement home around here, because it's
100%.
It's a great resource for our community to be able to go out there and work.
It employs a lot of people.
It does, and there is a lot of good things being done out there, but where it's government and a lot of red tape, it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
And anyway, so had some fear on her side, but the thing that really I think gave us the biggest advantage was people knew who we represented as a family. So they knew my family, they knew my dad, my grandpa, my grandparents, they knew Natalie's family, her grandparents. And so they were willing to give us a shot.
Yeah.
And I think that really comes down to being kind to everyone as much as possible. And because it just sets a tone for how people see you in the community. If my family had come from maybe a rough background, there would have been no chance that anyone had given us a shot. But they called us because they knew who we belonged to and how we were raised. So
yeah, I think it's an interesting concept when it comes to like marketing, and to kind of bring it back to that, but like you're always marketing yourself, and you want to be as sincere and honest as possible, because you never know when that next job might come around the corner, and it might come because they heard how you treated a friend or how you treated a family member. They're like, man, that Kinyon and Restore Rite, like his team was super good to my mother-in-law, or was super good to my cousin, or whatever, and that like can turn into more work for people are willing to take a chance on you when they believe that you're a good person and believe that you're representing a company that's a good company. And
yeah. I mean, it's hard to have a product that's revolutionary anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most everything that we're selling to someone is already being sold,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
it's hard to really say, oh, I'm this much better. The only difference is the person.
Yep.
So people don't really necessarily buy the product; they buy the person, and then when the person's organization grows beyond the person, well, then that's where having core values and a mission statement are important, so that your culture reflects who you are as a person. And
totally. Well, so with culture, you talk about now you have 24 employees and you've grown exponentially since 2016. You wear a lot of hats, but what does your day look like now compared to what it did, when you first started? How do you handle 24 employees and keep that good culture like you're talking about?
So most of my day is pretty open-ended.
Yeah.
I'm looking for resources to make my team members better.
Yeah.
I'm not so much involved with delivering a better product unless it involves making someone on my team a better person so that they do better at their job.
Right.
So I'm constantly looking at ways to raise our level of leadership, and then in doing so I have to raise it myself. So I'm constantly in courses and doing trainings and talking with people, trying to better myself so that I can pass that on to other people. So I would say that's a big part of my day, is just looking for resources to make our team better and reflect our core values. And then marketing is one of my things I enjoy the most. Right. So when I'm not looking at team members development, I'm looking at different kind of marketing ideas and how to get people to see us, and working with one of our business development managers.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think it goes back to this, and I always go back to this, and it's been talked about in books all over the place, and I'm sure other podcasts and videos and self-help stuff. But I think, I want to be a better person today than I was yesterday, and you want your company to be better today than it was yesterday's, and you as an owner and an operator have to, you're probably not caught up in the day-to-day operations as much anymore, but like just trying to make your team better is a huge part that I think people miss a lot. I think especially in, a lot of my clients are in the restoration industry, but especially in, restoration and construction and these blue collar type situations, I think that gets lost a lot. They're so worried about making a quality product that I think they sometimes forget about growing their business by making sure their culture is good. They have good employees. They're training their employees. They're trying to make them better people. And ultimately that's going to prove it. It's going to make a better product in the long run, but sometimes they don't see that immediately. And it's kind of trying to change someone's mindset that's always done it one way is something that I try and help with my clients a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. There's a weird part when someone's building their business, when it shifts from you're taking care of a customer to where you're taking care of a team, and you're taking care of both. So there's moments where you get spread pretty thin, and but it's just knowing that you can't take care of more people without more people on your team. It's just increasing your influence by developing those under you.
Throughout this whole process, who was your biggest mentor? Was there someone that like pushed you when you initially started, or maybe someone that's kind of helped in the middle, operate a larger team? Is there someone that's been a big mentor for you throughout this whole process, starting a business like this?
So there's been a few people, and I think there's moments where you outgrow what someone can continually do for you, and so when we first started out, actually it was a competitor who helped me get going and was a coach, and Brando Morgan up in Idaho Falls, good friend of mine. I'd have ideas, I'd pass it by him, this is what I like to do, and it was awesome for him not to be territorial with me, even though he didn't really do a lot of work in Blackfoot, didn't want to do much down here, and so he was instrumental in the beginning for me. And then when the company started growing to a position that I wasn't sure what my day-to-day looked like, I actually came to Spot On and spoke with Derek about it. I'm like, hey, I feel like I'm not contributing to the organization like I should be. And he said, well, you should reach out to this consulting firm, Viola Management Associates, VMA. And so I reached out to them, went out and did a site visit, and connected really well with them.
Yeah.
And there's 1,000 coaches out there, and
seriously,
I think a lot of them are pulling the same information to share, or they're stealing it from everyone else. Right. You know what I mean? But it's about how you are able to connect with that person, and they can hold you accountable. And so they helped us go from I think at the time we were doing like 400,000 a year, and we just finished at 3 million last year. So they've helped us go from that, and I meet with them weekly, talk with them weekly, and so they've been instrumental in that process too. So
it's interesting that you bring that up. It seems like in like a lot of the business world, both marketing, even podcasts, we're talking like there's a lot of cookie cutter content and cookie cutter like examples. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, I guess, but it's you're regurgitating a lot of the same stuff. And I find that it's hard to sift through that to find like what's actually going to work. And I think that's what's so unique about your story is, and starting your business, is you're a real guy that has applied certain things to your business, and it's actually helped you grow. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of different stuff on the internet that it's like people get on, you need to just work hard. And they don't ever like say like, okay, but how do I actually how do I start a business, or how do I set up an LLC? Like, how do I operate QuickBooks? Like, there's no a lot of times it's hard to sift through that and find like real information that's going to help me be better and make my business better. And it seems like you've found like some real rock solid stuff that's been able to help you do that. Like you said, you went from 400,000 a year to 3 million. Like that's real numbers. That's real growth that you can look on a piece of paper and see that. And I don't know, that's what's so cool, I think, about your story and what you've been able to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I'm not going to say I'm humble, you know what I mean? But
I think you're pretty humble, but go ahead.
I think just recognizing that you're not the whole enchilada, you know, and there's people out there that know more than you do. They're better than you do. And if you're willing to like accept a little bit of that humble pie and look to see, you know, how you can improve, I mean, it's had a dramatic effect on our community, you know, just being able to go out there and find people that have done it and can look outside. Because I looked at Restore Rite and I was like, look, I don't want this to be like Martin Farms, you know. So I couldn't go to my parents or my grandparents to be like, how should I do this? Because no one's done it in my family. You know, no one's ever grown a company to 20 plus employees. And then I was like, well, let's find someone who has, or who's worked with it. And just being able to accept ideas and then get your team members to buy into those same ideas so that you're all rowing in the same direction had a dramatic effect in our community, because now we have 20 employees and we're putting in different kind of programs to develop employees so we can actually offer a career for people. And we're involved with a lot of charitable events. You know, we love giving back to the community, sports teams and stuff like that. So it's been neat to see like the growth of that, and then really rewarding when your kids see your face on YouTube, because Spotter Solutions is throwing your face on YouTube ads.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude. I just think that's what I think has been really cool is, and looking outside, like what you've done, you've looked outside yourself and say, hey, I need some help. Like what do I need to do this? And I've always thought that exceptional leaders know where they are lacking in skill, and know where they need help, and then they go and find that help. That's what makes like a good leader. So that's why I think, you know, the people that I work for and the people that I work with, I think that's what makes them great leaders. You know, you mentioned Derek. You know, Derek knows he's one of the owners and founders of Spot On Solutions, but he knows where he lacks in skill, and he has looked outside of himself and found other people that can help him with those skills. And I think that's what makes a good leader. And you've really tried to apply that to Restore Rite, and that's really, really cool.
I don't think it's helped his golf game, but I think everything else it's gone.
He should look outside himself a little bit more with golf. You know, he moved to Texas to try and golf more
year round,
and
right?
I don't know if it's really helped that much.
Yeah,
but we'll have him on the podcast at some point and razz him about it. But yeah, I that's always. It seems it's been a similar pattern I've noticed in my life that whether it was playing sports in high school or other jobs that I've worked, or even like my dad, like I look at people like that and as exceptional leaders, and they have found people around them to help them. And I think that's what makes a good leader. And ultimately it's going to make you a better business owner and help you grow your business. Is that you've got to find people around, you got to put people around you that can help you grow. And you've got to be willing and humble enough to say, I suck at this. I suck at time management, or I suck at, managing directly like small teams. Like, how can I get better at that? Let me find some people that can help me do that.
Yeah, and it's not even just for business owners, right? I mean,
any aspect of your life.
Any employees, like if you're able to continually add value and augment, your own talents, like that's going to be really rewarding for themselves, to where it's not even about the money. It's just about you developing as a person. Yep. I mean, people can be happy with dirt floors, just like people can be happy with polished granite. There's
Right.
no way to really gauge the difference in happiness there other than what's the progress. So
that's really cool. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I appreciate you coming on. I think we've talked about some cool stuff, and I just think your story and Restore Rite's story ultimately is really, really cool. I want to finish with 3 rapid fire questions. I'm going to surprise you a little bit here, but I want to finish with a few of them. So first off, what is right now your favorite podcast or book that you're reading or listening to right now?
I really enjoy Ed Milet.
Okay. I haven't heard of this one. You and people around my office talk about a lot of books, but I haven't heard about that one.
So Ed Milet's is a podcast on there. And I think he's a partner with Andy Frisella.
Okay.
But he talks a lot about professional development. And he speaks right to my core with a lot of things, gets into a lot of the psychology behind it, which I enjoy, and even brings in some faith-based studies and stuff like that. So I really enjoy Ed Milet. I like his language. That's cool. He's not extremely vulgar.
Yeah.
So he'd probably be my favorite podcast going on. And then one of my favorite books that it's a really simple read, but I really liked it, was 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Okay.
So Patrick Lencioni writes it.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I'm a big reader, but I'm a big nerd. I love science fiction. I read every single night, and it's usually science fiction or fantasy, whatever. And it's just a way for me to stop thinking about what happened in the day or what I need to work on and thinking about the story, and I can turn my brain off and fall asleep usually pretty quickly. But anyway, so self-help books are awesome, but sometimes they're pretty repetitive, and it's, they talk about a vision board and how your subconscious mind speaks and to your actions, and you can read that. But Patrick Lencioni it was a fictional book applying business practices and how it improved the culture of a company. So I really liked that because it was an easy application to us, and actually kind of helped me bridge the gap between reading fiction books to reading other books, because now I find more enjoyment in like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Right. It was kind of a bridge book for you.
Yeah. And I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really neat book. So if you haven't started that one, I'd recommend that one too.
That's cool. Well, and that leads into my second question. Do you how do you shut your brain off? What do you do to relax and recharge? You wear a lot of hats during the day. You're doing a lot of things trying to help your team. How do you recharge?
So, to be honest, before I started Restore Rite, like, I was an avid dirt biker.
Yeah.
I loved those kind of sports. I've had a dirt bike since I was 12.
Yeah.
I've had a dirt bike more than I've had a pickup a lot of times,
That's awesome.
But in order to accomplish some of the goals we want to, I gave a lot of that up. So I went several years without doing much of that stuff. And it starts to get to the point where it's like, is this all worth it? Like, we're building something, and I enjoy, developing people, but at some point you still kind of go back to what you gave up. Yep. So recently I was able to get back into dirt bikes.
That's awesome.
And snow biking. And so I do that, but something I do every day though is read. So
that's cool.
I read every day. I've tried to do the gym. The gym just turns into a big social fest for me, Right. So I end up paying $50 a month or whatever it is just to go talk to people. So, but that is, something I want to improve on, is just a little bit of more exercise in my life. But reading is something daily I do that helps kind of me decompress. That's
cool, man. Last one it's kind of the surprise one, but if you could rewind and if you go back in time, get in a time machine, go back in time and talk to 2016 Kinyon Martin that was starting Restore Rite, what's one thing that you would tell him before he started that business?
This is an interesting question. There's actually a movie it's called About Time. Okay. It came out in 2013. And this guy, he's able to go back in time. And it's kind of changed my perception on daily a little bit, is he goes back in time and he doesn't change anything he did that day when he goes back and relives the day. He just pays attention to the little things to see the value in the little things. And so he'll go through a day and then be like, oh, today sucked.
Yeah.
He'll go back and replay the day and look for the little things like, oh, that was a great conversation with that waitress I had, or that was a great meeting. Like he'll look for the little things to find the value in the little things and to be able to have a little bit more gratitude. And then
awesome.
when he relives the day the second time looking for those things, he's like, I wouldn't redo it. And it actually gets to the point where he doesn't have to go back in time anymore. He just is able to recognize those things. And obviously, if you're able to go back and have the confidence that, hey, this is all going to work out, you know, that was a big question, is like, God, is this going to go bankrupt?
Yeah.
I mean, there's outside things that occur all the time that it could go bankrupt anytime outside of my control, you know? And so just, I guess, having the confidence knowing it's going to work, but really just looking for the gifts that people gave us to make it work out. Like the trust community, the community gave us to make it work, to bring us in their home, or that insurance agents refer their friends and family, say, hey, these guys will take care of you, you know? So if I were to look back, I think I would try to exercise a little bit more gratitude towards people who gave us a shot.
That's awesome, man. Well, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with me for a few minutes today. I think people are going to find a lot of value in this podcast. At least that's what I hope. I found a lot of value, and I think if I find a lot of value, I know others will too. I think your story is unique and how you started it, and that you're a real person that could actually start a business. And hopefully some people will get kind of that same value. So I appreciate you coming on, and hope to have you on again.
Yeah.
And maybe have some of your mentors on, and we can talk more about that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. I don't think anyone should shun away from like doing something like this, starting a podcast, you know.
Yeah.
There's a million podcasts out there, but it's all about connecting people, and so our audience may be Idaho because I'm from Idaho, right? But or our audience might be the restoration industry or whatever, or young people in their 20s and 30s starting a business, right? There's always just having a little bit of relevancy that just adds value to people. Yeah. And so I would encourage no one to quit because someone else is doing it, you know.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Hayden.
Yep. This has been Success Elevated, making you a little bit better one show at a time. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe on any major podcast platform or check out our website at successonpoint.com.